Hello, Year 12 psychologists. Okay, Mr. Nichols here, as you can see. This is an unusual thing, isn't it, me talking to you? But we are in a very unusual time with the particular situation with coronavirus. Why am I setting this video? Why am I sending this? Basically, I suppose to reassure you, first of all, that as much as possible, we should all carry on as normal in terms of our studies, our work for A-level psychology, and that really we have to continue that study and know that what we're doing is all towards our course and is important because we don't know how long this situation will go on. So what I'd like to just do is just talk you through the work that we've set, and maybe I'll do, or maybe even Miss Richardson will do some other sort of little videos for you just to keep working with you during this difficult time. Now, you will have seen hopefully on Show My Homework what we've done, and we're probably aiming to continue at the moment, is to set work in a block of 2 weeks. So when you look on Show My Homework, you will look at one particular instruction or sheet, and that will tell you all the work for 2 weeks. And I have that here, so I've printed it off. So that's the sheet you should be looking at. It probably looks in reverse view because of the flipped camera, but hopefully you just recognize that. You don't need to print that sheet, but you'll see that it's in 2 sections. You have social influence at the top and down here for attachment. Okay, so you've got a bit of work there for me and a bit of work here for Miss under the 2 topics. Okay, now what we're looking at there is important work. This is not filling time, this is part of your course. So for me, I've aimed for 2 particular bits, and the 3 classes of you are slightly in different points here, but you're only a lesson or 2 out of sync with each other. So the first thing is looking at the idea of conformity to social roles. In other words, this is the idea particularly backed up by the important study of the Stanford Prison Experiment, Zimbardo. Now, I'm sure you might have realised that me and Philip Zimbardo have actually shared lunch together and so on. You could go as far as to say we're good friends. Really important study, because what did that find out? That found out if you take 24 people, all males, and you separate them into guards and prisoners, a study originally planned for 2 weeks, but if you separate them into those roles, very quickly people adopt their roles, and therefore, of course, we started to see things go out of hand very quickly. The prison guards starting to be pretty unpleasant, exercising their power and their control because they had uniforms, they had the titles of prison guards, they had symbols of power, things like the baton, bunches of keys, and so on. And the prisoners, of course, what did? They started to fulfill the role of prisoners. Okay, so it's an important study. It's a study that, if it was rerun nowadays, would be seen probably as very unethical, because of the high levels of stress for the prisoners and the treatment that went on. But of course, it was back in 1971 when perhaps they could get away with things differently today without the BPS Code of Conduct. Of course, it was conducted in America. So really know that study inside out. I've sent you a couple of links on YouTube. You can find lots more there of the original footage. It was made into a Hollywood film just a couple of years ago, so you can watch the trailer. You could even watch the whole film if you like, but just remember that's based on the film, based on reality rather than actual reality. Okay, write up notes for that. Really write up the method, how many people, how did they recruit the participants, and so on. Okay, and particularly the strengths and weaknesses of it. As a study, it was pretty mind-blowing in what it found out, but equally, like I mentioned, the ethics, there were lots of weaknesses about the study, limitations. Things like Zimbardo played the role of the prison superintendent, superintendent, is that a word? And he therefore was very wrapped up in it, and he lost a little bit of his normal judgment to have probably finish that study and stop the stress of it much earlier. Okay, second bit I want you to move on to is about obedience. Okay, obedience is our next particular bit, a reminder. All the instructions are on this sheet. Now, obedience is a different concept to where we've been looking at conformity. Obedience is when we follow an instruction and we do it because normally somebody is of a higher authority. Key words to look at here: that person has been given legitimate authority. In other words, somebody has given them that role. You can think in reality here, hierarchies, for example, in the army, head teachers in school, CEOs of businesses, whatever it might be. In life, people are given positions of authority over others. And the fascinating concept, of course, is how far will people go to be obedient, and the explanations why. So we get explanations like being in an agentic state. Now, I'm not going to go into that in detail now because maybe I'll do a little bit of a further video about that for next week, something like that. But really getting to the key study here is to learn about Stanley Milgram's study. A little bit of background: Milgram was a young boy in World War II. He grew up during a period then where his parents became Jewish refugees. They had to basically flee for their lives to escape the World War II and the oppression of the Nazi regime. Milgram grew up fascinated with this concept, and ultimately you could say that he grew up fascinated with why people were so obedient to this regime, why they would carry out such atrocities because somebody had told them to, had instructed or commanded them to. So he came with this background as he went into psychology. There's a very interesting fact here, by the way, that both Milgram and Zimbardo went to the same high school in the Bronx in New York. That's just a little extra fact for you on the side there. Okay. Now, what do we know? Milgram conducted a key study, and this is a named study, just like the Stanford Prison Experiment is named, so you've got to know it well. What was the study about? Effectively, it was a controlled observation. So it looks like a laboratory experiment, but there's actually no independent variable. We'll get into that in more detail another time. What he did is he used several layers of deception to get people into what looked like a lab experiment, and effectively you ended up having the naive participant who was always selected into what we call the teacher role, as they did a paired exercise. And what that teacher had to do effectively was to administer electric shocks to their partner, who was called the learner, if the person got the answer incorrect. Now, this was all fake. All the answers were pre-planned, so there wasn't a right and wrong answer, if you like. The other person, the learner, was actually a confederate or a stooge and were giving the wrong answers as they'd been told to. And now we're interested. Will this participant go and shock people, electric shocks that they believe to be real, just because a man in a white lab coat, there you go, there's your position of authority, looks very, very important and serious with a clipboard. So if he's saying, yep, go ahead, yep, you need to give them the electric shock and so on, will they do that? Okay, very standardized procedure. Things like a list of verbal prods if the participant hesitated, words like the experiment requires you to continue. Okay, so this is a really key study, the Milgram study of obedience. What we found out is that rather shockingly, electric shocks, joke, that the vast majority of people, 65% in the original study, actually shocked people up to the maximum voltage of 450 volts. Now let's think about that. 450 volts could be fatal, would kill someone. So they truly believed they were shocking people, and 65% would have done that. Now, I've sent you a little PowerPoint. By the way, the other thing I should say is as you work through this is your 2-week instructions. As you work through, it will tell you, look at this PowerPoint, look at this document, and so on. Okay, they're all attached on Show My Homework for you there. Okay, so everything is there for you. Okay. So have a look at that. I've attached you a PowerPoint, and embedded in that PowerPoint, if you play it as that, is a Derren Brown little remake of Milgram's original study. Shows people in modern times going through the same procedure, so it makes really good viewing for you to be able to contextualize that and to think about it. Okay. Now, I'm not going to overlap into Miss Richardson's attachment stuff. I'm going to let her do any of that, or if you've got questions, you can always message her. All right. Folks, we are only an email away. So if any of this is unclear, do please email me and Miss Richardson, okay? And just ask us questions. If you're doing anything and you're just getting a bit of understanding and you're making really good notes and so on, you've got to use your textbook, follow our instructions, all of this will be good, okay? Now, I know there's one final thing you probably want to ask about, and it's about the Year 12 exams, and we've had some questions from you already. Okay, key thing here, we don't know at the moment, we're just working it out as a school what these exams might look like for you coming up in the next couple of months, okay? We've got a lot of work to do on that because things are changing day by day. The moment we know, we're going to let you know, okay? Please rest assured, we're not going to give you a really short period of time, okay, to learn a lot of content. That would not be fair and it would be pointless. Now, some of you are going to sit at home and go, well, why would I revise anyway? Because if I'm going to do it electronically, nobody can see that I'm using my notes while I'm doing it, okay? That's fine. However, old teachers thing that you'll have been told millions of times in life, you'll only be cheating yourself. What do we mean by that? Every single bit of stuff you revise and learn when we give you the content is going to help you for the long run. Remember the forgetting curve that we always talk about. In other words, the more times you go to something, the more times you rehearse it, the better you're going to remember it in the long run. So if you want to do yourself a favor, okay, ready for your final exams, don't need to worry about those, they're a long way away. If you want to do yourself a favor, learn this stuff, treat it seriously now. If there's one thing that we have all got now, we've got time on our hands. So you don't need to sit down for 3 hours in a day, you don't need to sit down for 6 hours, but you can do short, sharp stuff. Get yourself organised, okay? Get revision resources done that you'll be using sometime in the future as well, all right? So I hope that's clear. The moment we can give you more information about the exams, we will do, all right? We want you to feel absolutely supported. We are here, we're here to help you, okay? And you can email me about this video if you think it's useful and helpful and you'd like more. We can do that, okay? If you think it's a waste of time, then we won't. All right? Look after yourselves, folks. Listen to what the health advice is. Yeah, everybody is in the same boat here. Take that advice, okay? And we'll all see each other the other side of it. Take care. Bye.